Hello and welcome to I Create For You. I'm Lori and we're going to do another Civil War ghost story called John Brown's Body and Spirit. On the night of Sunday, October 16th, 1859, the militant abolitionist John Brown crossed the Potomac River from the northern Maryland bank and entered the town of Harper's Ferry, Virginia. He was accompanied by a 21-man Army of Liberation, including 2 of his sons and 4 African Americans, and his men drove a wagon containing enough muskets and homemade spears to arm 1,350 men. His plan was to seize the military arsenal and the U.S. Army musket factory in the town, and then incite a general slave rebellion in the Shenandoah Valley. Armed with the weapons brought by Brown and those in the arsenal, the slaves could then extend the rebellion through the rest of the slave states of America. Ironically, the first man who was gunned down by Brown and his men was Shepard Hayward, a free African American, the porter at a local train station. The abolitionists quickly took over the arsenal and rounded up several hostages, then established themselves in the Army's engine house, which was turned into a miniature fort. By the following morning, angry citizens had thrown a cordon around the engine house, and their anger increased when Brown's men shot and killed the town mayor, Colonel Fontaine Beckham. A siege began, with fire being exchanged by both sides. That morning, both of Brown's sons were mortally wounded, and the growing despair of the abolitionists must have reached a peak during the early hours of October 18, when a contingent of U.S. Marines arrived, led by Lieutenant Colonel Robert E. Lee and his deputy, Lieutenant Jeb Stuart. The 2 Virginian officers called on Brown to surrender, and after he refused, Lee ordered his Marines to storm the engine house. Within minutes it was all over, and while only 1 Marine was killed and another wounded, the entire abolitionist force was killed, wounded, or captured. John Brown and his surviving band were tried and convicted of treason, incitement of rebellion, and murder. The verdict was never in doubt. Brown had already murdered slave owners in Kansas, and despite any abolitionist sentiments in the free states, there was no doubt that he was guilty of both murder and treason. On December 2nd, 1859, Brown rode to the scaffold in Charlestown, Virginia, sitting on his own coffin in the back of a wagon. He was hanged in front of thousands of onlookers. However, that was not the end of the story. According to legend, the eyes of the dead Brown seemed to gleam as if he were still alive, causing the undertaker to seal them with wax after closing them. More was to come. The house used as a hideout by Brown and his men before the raid was known as the Kennedy Farm, just south of Sharpsburg, Maryland. It is said that the sound of a group of men can be heard, either sleeping, talking, or moving up and down the farmhouse stairs. Today's Harper's Ferry is a popular tourist destination, now in West Virginia, and part of the old armory, including the engine house, is now owned by the National Park Service. Excuse me. Visitors to the town have mentioned encountering a reenactor bearing an uncanny resemblance to John Brown. The man seemed willing to pose for photographs in front of the engine house, and although taciturn, the tourists imagined that was simply him staying in character. When the films were developed, the figure was nowhere to be seen. When visitors mentioned the reenactor to local residents or Park Service employees, they were told that no such reenactor existed. Had these people encountered the restless ghost of John Brown? The same figure was also seen walking the street in front of the engine house at night, accompanied by a black dog, like the one that accompanied Brown during the raid. Dog and man then vanished through the door of the engine house. These stories would be more easily dismissed if they did not reoccur several times, and most residents are convinced that something otherworldly has become associated with Brown and his raid. Another grisly ghost has also been associated with the raid. One of Brown's group was Dangerfield Newby, a free African American. During the first day of the fighting, he was killed outside the gates of the armory, reputedly by an iron nail fired from a blunderbuss or shotgun. His body was left in the street because it was too dangerous for anyone to approach the corpse due to the exchange of fire. So Newby's body was only recovered after the engine house was stormed. The corpse was simply tossed into an alleyway for authorities to deal with. But according to the story, pigs that inhabited the space between the buildings set upon the corpse and began eating its flesh. I apologize if you're in the middle of eating a meal right now. Ever since, the alley has been known as Hog Alley and has been home to a ghost that some identify with Dangerfield Newby. The figure of an African American man dressed in a slouch hat has been seen walking in the alleyway, his throat ripped open and bleeding. Once again, I apologize. The figure then vanishes. Like so many ghost stories, there is little of substance to go on, but at least in this case, the facts of Brown's raid are well known. While many can dismiss these tales of the ghosts of Brown and one of his men as mere superstitious nonsense designed for the tourists and encouraged by nightly ghost tours, others remain convinced that there may be a fundamental bedrock of truth in the chilling tales. And that's the end of that story. Sorry about that. Like I said, sometimes I don't read it before I read it to you. I just skip to who the ghosts are, what I could probably draw an image of, and I wasn't prepared for those little tidbits of gore that came through. Okay. I'm going to try to do a Civil War ghost. Oh, I don't know if you guys saw. Now hopefully I can get back to that page. That they had a picture of him. This is John Brown, by the way. That's what he looks like. Okay, now we'll try this little ghosty ghost. Let me get you guys down close, and I shall do my best. Okay. Let me see here. Do his hat first. Make sure I'm in frame here. Do his hat first. They always had those square hats. Yeah, it's some kind of thing in the front here. Okay. I'll work on the rest of his face and stuff here. That's his ear there. I know, great job, right? I'm trying. Remember, he's a ghost. He's supposed to look spooky. Okay. I'm going to try to draw him in his uniform. I don't know how good I'll be at this. I'm going to make him the best that I can. I'm going to put one button there at his collar and make this like this because it's usually open. And I'm going to get rid of that for now and make sure that I have this because they have something across here. And it crosses here on this shoulder. And a few more buttons down here. They're very close together here. Let me make them better. Okay, and we're going to go down to his belt here. My goodness, sorry, it doesn't look so good today. My drawing isn't as good as it usually is. Well, not to say that I'm really good. Oh, look at that. Would you figure? Oh well, we're just gonna deal with that, right? We're gonna pretend that's not there. It's just ghosts can be any color they want to be, right? Okay, now he's got like his has like guns and ammo crap on his belt here. I gotta right. Let me do his hand. Okay, we got his hand going there, and then his legs. Oh, wow, his legs can't come out there. What the hell am I thinking? Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that slip up there. Okay, now I'm just going to put it this way. That makes more sense. Okay, now we have a belt buckle here. And he's going to have some kind of satchel in the front here. Doing a lot of erasing today, folks. Okay, there's another thing there. And then we're going to make his other hand over here. Okay, there's his other hand. And his legs here. Sorry about this, guys, but this is how it happens. This is how the process goes. And his boots. I'm just going to do it haphazardly here. They're really not good boots, let me tell you. At least I'm not doing them nice. But he's a ghost. He's in war, and they can't be pretty. But they do have some kind of like a, what do you call? I don't know. Like, I'm just gonna draw one. They have like some kind of overcoat type thing. Sometimes that they wear. Comes out around. But I'm gonna make this one ghostly, like. And so it's going to be see-through, and it's going to come down across here. Okay, he is one scary looking dude. I don't know if I want to meet him on the battlefield. This doesn't look right here. His shoulder doesn't seem right. There we go. Anyway, now I'm going to do my ghostly magic. Hopefully this isn't shaking you guys up so much for me doing this. Do a little lighter over here. That's as good as it's gonna get. Can't tell that I'm having a rough morning, can you? But he looks a little rougher or worse off than we are. And that's our ghostly guy, our ghostly Civil War ghost. Although he should have had, you know how they have those bayonet things on their rifles and stuff? Well, I don't know that this would be a bayonet. I'll just make it a sword. I'll make this a little bit littler, and then on his belt we shall put a sword. I don't know how I could have forgotten that, because they really used these a lot back then. Swords and or the bayonets on the. And there's his sword. I added a sword. Gave him a little more something there. So I found it funny that, well, is it funny that the first person that they do kill is what he's fighting to save, unfortunately. But things happen. I'm just hoping that they say history repeats itself. Let's hope this isn't one of the things that repeats, because that was a really bad massacre there. And plenty of restless souls is what I was trying to say in that area. I'm not sure how far Gettysburg is away from where I live. I should have looked that up, but maybe I'll be able to tell you in the next video. Well, thanks for stopping by and listening to another ghost story. I have a few more in this book. I guess I have about 5 more stories out of this book, and then we'll be venturing into a different type of ghost story book. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Comment if you'd like to. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye for now.